Have you ever felt like a song was speaking directly to you, like the melody knew your secrets, your fears, and your pain? That's what I hope to do every evening when I stand at the corner of Maple and 3rd Street, under the flickering streetlight with my battered old guitar. I've been playing here for years now, long enough to see the seasons change a dozen times over. The familiar faces that pass by, some nodding in recognition, some just hurrying past. But there was one face that caught my eye recently, a kid, no more than 17, with dark circles under his eyes and a sadness that seemed far too heavy for someone his age. He first appeared one chilly Tuesday evening in October, just as the sun was dipping low, casting a golden hue over the city. I noticed him because he stood apart from the usual crowd of commuters and shoppers. He hovered near the lamppost, hands jammed in the pockets of a too-big hoodie, his face half hidden by the shadows. For a while, he just stood there, staring at his feet, like he wasn't sure if he wanted to stay or leave. But when I began to play an old blues tune, his head lifted. His eyes, deep brown, almost black, found mine, and he stayed until the last note faded into the evening air. The next evening, he was there again, and the next, always in the same spot, his face a mask of quiet desperation. I could see it in his eyes, that look I'd seen before in my own reflection many years ago. One day, I decided to try something different. I played a melody that was less structured, more improvised, a piece I'd created during one of the darkest times in my life, when music was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. As the notes flowed from my fingers, I saw him close his eyes, just for a moment, like he was letting the music wash over him. When I finished, he was still there, but his shoulders seemed a bit less slumped, his posture a little less defeated. After my set, I walked over to him. He looked startled, like he hadn't expected me to notice him. "Hey," I said, "you've been coming here a lot lately. What's your name?" He hesitated, then mumbled, "Lucas." I nodded. "I'm Jack. You like music, Lucas?" He shrugged. "I guess." We didn't say much more that night, but I saw something in his eyes, a flicker of curiosity, maybe, or a small crack in the armor he'd built around himself. Over the next few weeks, we fell into a rhythm. He'd show up, listen quietly, and sometimes, when the crowd was thin, we'd talk. I learned he had dropped out of school, was living with an uncle who barely noticed he was there, and felt like he was drifting through life without an anchor. One evening, as the city was beginning to light up, I decided to tell him my story. I told him how I'd ended up on this corner with my guitar, how I'd once been a lot like him, lost, angry, and ready to give up. I shared how music had saved me, given me purpose when I had none. I didn't sugarcoat it. I told him about the nights I played until my fingers bled, the days I went hungry, the friends I lost to bad decisions. Lucas listened, eyes wide. When I finished, there was a long silence. I wondered if I'd scared him off, but then he asked, "How did you know what to do? How did you find this?" I smiled, strumming a few soft chords. "I didn't," I replied. "I just knew I had to do something. So, I picked up a guitar and started playing. The rest came later." He nodded, and I could see the gears turning in his mind. From that day on, our conversations became more frequent, more open. I taught him a few chords on the guitar, simple stuff at first, and he was a quick learner. Every evening, he'd come a little earlier, stay a little later. Sometimes, he'd even help me pack up my gear at the end of the night. One cold December evening, Lucas showed up with a guitar of his own, an old, beat-up thing with a couple of strings missing. He seemed embarrassed by it, but I could see the hint of a smile playing on his lips. "Found it in the attic," he explained, almost apologetically. We began to play together, him awkwardly strumming along, making more mistakes than music, but I didn't care. Neither did he. For the first time, I saw something light up in his eyes, something like hope. Slowly, over the next few months, he began to change. He still had his bad days, don't we all? But he smiled more, laughed sometimes, and even started to talk about going back to school. "Maybe music school," he'd say with a grin, half joking, but I could see he was serious. One day, he asked me, "Why do you do this, Jack? Play out here every night?" I thought about it for a moment. "Because music saved my life once," I said. "And maybe it can save someone else's too." Lewis nodded. And I saw that flicker in his eyes again. But this time, it wasn't pain. It was determination. And so, we kept playing under the streetlight, our small corner of the world, lit by the glow of shared music and newfound hope. The city moved around us, indifferent. But there on that corner, a life was changing his. And maybe mine too. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.